Hello and welcome back. My garden is a little bare in the winter, so in this video I'm going to show you how to fill a new bed with some evergreen plants to add a little colour and shape to the garden. I've been adding some more beds to the garden over the past few months. I saw the lawn as potential growing space rather than the slug hotel it's become. In the summer my garden is bursting with colour, but it's pretty bare over the winter and spring. This bed is the first you see when you look out into the garden, so it would be perfect for some evergreen flowers and shrubs. Evergreens keep their leaves over the colder months rather than dying back, so this bed will keep its shape all year round. My partner loves anything purple and gnomes, and it can be quite difficult to think up a style for a bed. It's much easier to start with an object or a specific plant that you love. I'm going to go with this little fella. First up is an Azalea Japonica. It's a hardy shrub, and this one won't grow much taller than half a metre. It doesn't require pruning and will be happy in the full sun. It'll be full of big red blooms between May and June. I'm going to put it right here in the centre, at the back of the bed. Next up are 3 Helleborus Orientalis, or hellebores. These will grow to be just a little shorter than the azalea at 40 centimetres, and will also bulk out width-wise. So that the bed cascades down to the path, these will surround the shrub. 2 of them are pink and 1 is an aubergine colour. We should get a really nice mix of pinks, purples and reds here. They flower between November and April, where the shrub will then take over. They can also be divided in the spring after they've flowered. When choosing plants which will sit together, I tend to follow the following rules. I look for a similar leaf style, for example rounded, sharp or fanned. Similar range in colours, either the flowers or the leaves themselves. Similar light requirements, for example all shaded or all sun-loving. And dissimilar flowering periods. You want interest over a longer period of time. Next we have 2 Erodiums which will act as a little ground cover at the front of the bed. They won't grow any taller than this, but they will spread to around 30 centimetres wide. They have lovely little pink flowers from March to September, and also love being planted in the full sun. Arrange them into a nice shape, keeping in mind how large they'll grow in time, but don't be afraid to move things around and give it a shuffle until you're happy. Also, look from the angle they'll likely be seen from, for example a bench or a kitchen window rather than standing over them. Try not to spread them out too much as empty spaces will look unnatural. Also aim to get more plants than you think you need. We can always take some out later if they're cramped, but it's much more difficult to fit another in later. And lastly, this is a bit of a wild card, is this Veronica. It's not an evergreen, but it will be a nice little surprise each year when it pops up between May and July. It won't grow much larger than the width of this pot, but it may self-seed and fill the empty space in this bed. We'll just have to see. I've got some nice purple pots which will sit either side of the bed, which we can change around each year to add something new to look at. Right, grab your cup of tea and let's crack on. Move everything out of the way and give yourself plenty of space. Starting at the back, dig a hole the same width and depth as the pot the plant is currently sat in. When you think you're there, sit the whole thing in the hole to check. You want the top of the pot to be level with the top of the hole. If you're not quite there yet, just keep digging a little more. Removing the plant from the pot is usually straightforward. Turn the pot over while having your hand cupped around the stem of the plant, allowing it to slide out of the pot. Lower it into the hole and then firm it down by pressing down on the soil on either side. Then fill any gaps with soil to remove any large air holes. And then move on to the next plant. Dig a hole of the right size and test the hole with the pot. These hellebores have been in their pots a little longer than they should have. Just to give them a little boost, I'm going to sprinkle some fish, blood and bone in the hole. You could also use some slow release fertiliser pellets or a handful of compost. You can see after I remove this plant from its pot that there's lots of large roots which have started to grow around the inside of the pot. It won't transplant well like this, so we first need to ease the roots apart to free them up, like so. After we've done that, the process is the same. Drop it in the hole, firm it down at the sides, and fill any gaps with some soil. Transplanting a bed can take a little time and you'll only make mistakes if you rush it, so feel free to top up your tea and get yourself comfortable. I'll move on to the Erodium now. Dig the hole, ease the plant out of its pot, free up any tangled roots, firm it into its hole and fill the sides. This hellebore has been in its pot for a lot longer than it should have, and the roots have started to grow and tangle out of the drainage holes. This can make removing it from the pot very difficult. If you have the same issue, don't risk damaging the plant. The safest method is to simply cut it out of the pot. The Veronica is an odd one to transplant as it's currently in its dormant state. Fingers crossed I've not just been sold a pot full of compost. Now we need to give this bed a thorough watering, and this is for two reasons. Firstly, it washes the soil around the roots and removes any air holes which we may have missed. And it also encourages new roots to grow into the bed, which the plant will be focusing on at the moment. Now you can put your pots back and tidy up the area. I can't wait to see the colours in this bed throughout the year and having it as a consistent space in an ever-changing garden. I really hope you enjoyed this video and it encourages you to get creative with some of the empty spaces in your garden. Do send over your photos and videos of what you come up with, and there's an email address in the description that you can use. If you did enjoy this, please give us a like or consider subscribing. I upload every week and your feedback really does help. Here are some videos that you may be interested in. Thank you and happy growing.